Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with the new fanfic. And if you enjoy the fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic.
What if Naruto stopped caring about Konoha? Part 1. He should have known. After all, it doesn't matter what he does, there were only three types of persons when it comes to training him. First, there was the typical Konoha shinobi, that only feels indifference for him, with Mizuki the exception who hated him, so they don't care whether he lives or not, resulting with him having subpar to no training and that could someday cost his life. Then there were the teachers that actually cared about if he lives or not, but they still don't do nothing except point out his weakness and be done, instead of helping him. In this category could be included Iruka and the Hokage to a certain degree, always preaching about the will of fire and be Hokage, for which he found was no longer interested, after all why he should protect people for which he only feels indifference. Last were probably the people he hated the most. Those that could only see the Kyuubi. The Hokage may have not known, but he was no fool, he merely acted that way for recognition. He knew of the Kyuubi even before the incident with Mizuki. After all, if you go to a shinobi academy and train with chakra, you got to see the gigantic seal on your stomach. Besides, for a closet seal enthusiast as him, it was quite obvious what the seal does after entire days looking at it, and it doesn't help to have someone on some guy named Danzo orders trying to train you to control demonic chakra. His actual sensei, if it could be called that, was like a mixture between the first and second class. After the wave mission and seeing how strong enemies could be, he started to get serious about being a shinobi. He followed the advice of his sensei and changed his clothes. He opted for a black fitting set of clothes with a black jacket with two orange lines on his arms. After all, he loved the color for some reason. Seeing that he was taken a little more seriously, he followed the instructions given to him by Kakashi and Iruka and worked on the basis. He still couldn't do the Bunshin with only the tree chakra exercise, but he found the versatility of the basics jutsus, especially the Kawarimi. But he found his real inspiration on the Yondaime Hokage's jutsu, the Hiraishin no jutsu. Needless to say that when he found how the Yondaime managed to make an S-rank technique from AD rank 1, he was inspired and decided in that moment that if no one was going to teach him, he would do it himself. His only impressive technique, Kage Bunshin, had resulted very useful. It wasn't very long after his change that he noted the secret of the technique. Since then he had made sure to use that technique to learn everything available in the library of seals. He had to use henge as always to be able to buy what he needed, and although he couldn't access to the most powerful seals and advances books, he had made sure to master and make good use of what he have, even if it takes a big toll on his mind. For the first time he was grateful for Kyuubi's presence. His problem now though was that his sensei doesn't feel up to the task of helping him with his taijutsu. He tried to do it by himself with his clones, but he had two problems. The first was that the academy style was not very effective, and any other style that he tried was more useful for a movie than for real life. The second problem made itself known when he tried to practice one of those styles. Like when he fought Zabuza, Haku and Hell, even Sasuke, it doesn't matter how many clones you make. If you're clones too, there's no difference, so it wasn't a surprise when there was no progress, and that's the reason that he was asking his teacher for help. "So can you help me, Kakashi-sensei?" asked Naruto. Naruto, you just came back from an A-rank mission, why don't you train your chakra control, that way you won't strain your body and you will be ready for the Chunin exams. But what I am supposed to do if I can't fight in close range? And how is that monkey I is training? He growled. It was always the same thing. Now Sakura was probably going to start screaming and Kakashi will then calm her down and dismiss him. As in on cue, Naruto, stop being so annoying and don't call Sasuke-kun that, you're just jealous that he is better than you. Much to her annoyance he simply ignored her. He had been doing this for a few weeks. She had to admit that he looked better, even hot, not that she would ever admit it. Lately he had been ignoring both her and Sasuke. She now has to face the fact that he was no longer interested in her and that, for some reason, bothered her. What's the matter? Don't be jealous. Naruto had to admit that if he would have activated a bloodline and one like the Sharingan, he too would be proud. But that doesn't give him the right to put people beneath him and insult them, so he answered. Of you and your little filthy thief eyes, in your dreams Uchiha, that was another. Ever since they came back he had taken to call them by their respective surnames. After the Wave mission, Naruto started to really think about his situation in the shinobi world and especially on his team, and the conclusions he made weren't pretty. Kakashi, seeing that they were going to start another fight, decided to stop it there. Naruto, I am training Sasuke, because he needs help with his Sharingan. Besides, you have managed to make it this far without a style, surely you won't let that stop you, right? His eyes turned up, showing that he was smiling, but Naruto was far from amused. Instead, Naruto's eyes turned serious. Kakashi, Sakura and Sasuke stiffened. They have never seen Naruto serious, and it was like he was several years older. He looked at them for a few seconds and suddenly he turned around and started walking out of the training grounds. Seeing this, Kakashi said, Naruto, where are you going? The training session is not finished, besides we still have a mission to do. While he walked away, the three could heard his answer. I'll be here for the mission. Since you don't plan to train me or Haruno, I guess that I'll do it myself. That way you will be able to concentrate in Uchiha. After all, Haruno has no interest in anything shinobi related other than him. With that he walked out of the grounds, leaving two pissed Genins and worried Junin sensei. Naruto for his part went in direction to his house. He has a few things to think about and he needed to meditate. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX rules were in place. After having idiotic civilians destroying his home more than once, he didn't feel like letting shinobis, like in Kakashi's case, enter his house undetected. Besides, he didn't want anyone with access to his projects, in this case a combination of Kawarimi and Shunshin, which he planned to evolve in an S-rank jutsu like the Yondaime when he gained more knowledge in seals. Besides, like his shinobi idol did working in the Hiraishin while creating the Rasengan, he planned to create his own techniques while working on his S-rank project. He knew that if he told this to someone, that person would probably laugh, but he wouldn't give up. He was Uzumaki Naruto and he never give up. Believe it. Stop talking to yourself, you retarded bug, you're going to lose even more brainpower. Oh yeah, and Kyubi had taken to talk to him from time to time. Sometimes helping, like with seals, and giving advice, and others just to insult him for amusement. What do you want now besides being a pain in the, of course? How dare you? I am the uber freaking awesome Kyubi no Kitsune, you filthy baboon, how? Yeah, I already heard that before, could we skip it please? I don't know why I even bother. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you about your training, I know that I may help you with a few things besides the few seals I know and the healing. What do you want in exchange? You don't usually do this for free. He remembered the last time the fox asked him to look for vixens for him to look trough Naruto's eyes. Needless to say that the image of a kid looking at female foxes intently was disturbing, and since then he had made no deals with the demon lord. He could hear the fox perverted giggles. This time is easy. I don't want my container to be looked like the pathetic imbecile that he is. Hey, whatever. So let's get to it, monkey. There's only so much time I can tolerate your pitiful presence. Hee, then you're FC Ked. Seeing that you're here for life, hee. His answer was an enraged roar that gave him a good headache. Geez, what a temper. Naruto muttered to himself. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX instead of those pathetic things that you bought early, honestly of all the humans. Kyuubi said, making Naruto's tick increase with his annoyance. Fine fine. Okay, here we are, he said, entering the shinobi archive. It was a good thing that taijutsu, except for the most powerful techniques, that usually required chakra, was fairly unrestricted, so he has access to a wide variety. The reason academy students don't usually come here was for the simple fact that learning from a scroll could never be compared to learn from an experienced teacher. Naruto supposed that he should at least be thankful that he at least learned to hit an opponent correctly, without damaging himself, like punch someone and then break your hand. Besides, he supposed that the fox had encountered humans with whatever style he chooses, so he would be a good help. Good, now try to look for a style called Mui Borin, was the answer from the fox. What the, you blasted fox, what kind of name is Mui Borin? It sounds like some ramen recipe. You imbecile brat, how dare you to question me? Besides, that's a strong style. The scream of the fox made Naruto holds his head in pain, and for your information, that's an ancient style not used anymore, because their moves usually cripple the opponent for life. Now go and get it. It took him an hour to find the scroll. It was a big yellow with some inscriptions. It seemed that it was very old and people hardly acknowledge it, so he decided to take with him the only and last scroll for it. After reading it for a few minutes, he heard the Kyuubi speak again. "Sue, admit it." "What? You know what? Say it." This time he growled. "Okay, you friggin' egomaniac. You're awesome and the world must bow to your awesomeness. Happy. HN, and don't you forget it, insect. Sigh. Can we focus here? What's next?" "Well, we are going to buy a scroll. Quote, quote. Quote, quote. I just did, you stupid overgrown pest. You filthy monkey. I was referring to a scroll half your height." "What do you mean?" Naruto asked, confused. "I mean that you will use this scroll as your safe. In it you will seal not only surviving necessities, but you will put everything you know, from your already known techniques to your progress with unfinished ones. After that you will put a blood and chakra seal, the last being a combination of both of our chakras. That way no one will be able to access to it. Understand, or do I say it slowly for your poorly evolved human brain?" "Yeah, I understand, no need to insult, geez." After entering the shop, it wasn't long to find a good scroll. Well, more like Kyuubi choose it. It was a big black scroll with red stripes. He asked for Uzumaki to be put in red on it. It wasn't easy since everyone hated him, but saying that he was under the Hokage's instructions was enough incentive. Right after paying for the scroll, Naruto went directly to his house, making sure to send a shadow clone with his team. They won't be happy, but he didn't especially care, so he made a few clones and made them start adding the seals, while he started writing down what little he know of the shinobi arts. He started with how to produce chakra right up to his Kage Bunshin and his seal knowledge. After that he made a copy of his Mui Borin scroll and sealed the original with his other techniques, and last he started writing the results of his investigations. He had gotten to the point in where he needed more chakra control and definitely more seal knowledge. His future S-rank jutsu, the hybrid between Kawarimi and Shunshin, held a lot of promise, and he had every intention of surpassing the Yondaime. After all, he didn't have a millenary demon helping him. It was curious because a few weeks back he considered the Yondaime his hero. Now tough it has become something like a goal to surpass him. And taking into consideration that he disliked the fact that he sealed in him a demon, well, he felt kind of like with Sasuke, a mixture between indifference and annoyance, just that he still admired the Yondaime's strength. Unlike Sasuke was just a talented little genin. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX Bunshin and learned a bit of Muiboran. It wasn't much, only the basic moves, but he was sure that it was enough to deal with people from his class, except Sasuke in taijutsu, who had been training in his family style for more time. Speaking of which, they were now about to enter the first part of the Chunin exam, and if the glares directed at him by his teammates was any indication, they were not happy of him sending a clone most of the time, and even more with their encounter with those Suna shinobis. He intervened. Flashback. Naruto was on his way to his house after a hard day of training. He had managed to make the design he wanted for his special kunai. He knew that he still needed to complete the seal array, and with so little knowledge he couldn't. It seemed that he would have to ask permission to the Sandaime to access to the most advanced seals. He was distracted from his thoughts when he felt a presence behind him. He could only sigh and be a little amused at seeing a square rock following him. "Okay, you three, get out of there." An explosion later, 3 kids stood in front of him. "Hey boss, how about we play ninja?" Before he could answer, a voice interrupted him. "What kind of ninja?" "Play ninja," said Haruno Sakura with a mocking tone. Much to her annoyance, he ignored her again and continued. "What do you guys say to actually learn a real ninja technique?" At this the kids were jumping with happiness. Sakura decided to meddle again. "Really, and what are you going to teach them? How to be useless?" She snapped. "Well, I was thinking more along the lines of Kaden Gukakyu no Jutsu. It was a simple technique. You only needed chakra with no control, and it would piss off both Sakura and Sasuke." As predicted. "What? As if you could." He couldn't finish because Konohamaru interrupted her. "Hey boss, is this girl your, you know?" Understanding what he was referring to, he answered. "No, Konohamaru. That won't ever happen." At this, Sakura felt a pang for some reason, but she hid it well. Of course not, boss. I know that you will never be with something like her. I mean, look at here, a movie screen for forehead and bubblegum pink hair." "Ha ha ha." Konohamaru laughed. His laughter soon turned to horror when Sakura started chasing after him. The chase came to a halt when he crashed with some guy in a weird black suit and crappy makeup. Naruto had to admit that the girl besides the guy was hot. Seeing the girl blushing, he averted his gaze to the weird guy, missing the slightly jealous look from Sakura and the pleased one from the other girl. "You damn brat, I am going to give you a lesson in manners you won't forget. I would appreciate if you let go of my friend. Not only he is the grandson of the Hokage, he is my friend, and I will gladly rip you apart if you harm him," he said in a soft tone and a little smile. A trick he learned from the fox. He didn't show no emotion, no killing intent, making him look even creepier. Think of Aizen. The black-clothed guy decided to ignore him. "Don't worry, I will deal with you in a moment." Turning to Konohamaru, he and everyone else were surprised to find the kid gone, and in his place was a kunai with an exploding tag. Turning to Naruto, he found him with the boy at his side. "Now you should calm down a little. We don't want that tag to explode, are we?" After a shake from the other's head, he simply turned around and started to walk away with Konohamaru, Udon and Moegi, who were all telling him how cool that was. Before he was completely gone, he heard the Suna girl call him. "Hey, what's your name?" "Uzumaki Naruto. Sabaku no Tamari." "A pleasure, I assure you. To be polite." That was another lesson that he had learnt from so many people pointed out to him. While he walked away with the Konohamaru Corps, he noted that to the 2 Suna nins and Sakura had joined Sasuke and some red-haired kid, but since he didn't cared, he went on his way. End flashback. After having to deal with a little scene by Sasuke and having enjoyed how a green creepy guy beat the brooding teenagers, he was in good humor. Of course, it was immediately ruined by the Uchiha blonde fangirl. "Sasuke-kun, I missed you so much," said Yamanaka Ino, hugging the Uchiha, much to the Avengers' irritation. "Leave Sasuke-kun alone, Ino pig." From there the two started a bickering contest in which Naruto wasn't especially interested. "So you guys came too. Troublesome," a lazy voice said, indicating Shikamaru's presence with Choji not long behind. "Shikamaru, Choji," were the soft-spoken words of Naruto, said with a smile. The others were surprised since it was weird find a Naruto without his usual loud voice. They were about to comment on it when a loud voice interrupted them. Yahoo! So everyone is here, it won't matter because Team 8 will rock this exam. The loud and arrogant voice of Kiba could be heard in all the room, and if looks could kill, he would be already 6 foot under. You seem confident Mutt, let's hope that you don't get killed before I kick your Zay. I won't lose to you Uchiha. Where is Naruto-kun? The timid voice of Hinata made itself known. Yeah, where is the dead last? Said Kiba. The dead last, as you put it, is here, and at least he had the decency to stay quiet and don't paint a bullseye on himself, like your imbecile self just did with your stupid voice, Naruto said with a soft voice, but it had an edge to it that made them tense. He saw Shino nodding in approval. Seeing Naruto dressed in black and with a big scroll on the back, made Hinata look at him and blush, something that Sakura and Temari from afar noted, and they were not happy about it. They were interrupted again though. You rookies should listen to your blondie comrade, said a gray-haired guy. You were one to talk, Grandma, said Naruto with a smile. Hiding his annoyance, Kabuto continued tough. You should be more careful. With the tension usually present in these exams, you rookies are usually the firsts to die. Seeing that you're new to this, I'll give you a little information with my chakra cards. Naruto immediately went back to his own thoughts, keeping an ear open for the information. It described Rock Lee and amusingly enough him. The last was that red-headed kid, Gaara. It seemed that the guy was strong. Kyuubi decided to give him a little information. That's Shukaku's vessel. He have no scratch because of the sand, it's an automatic defense. The kid is strong, but his strength is unfocused. I'll be sure to be prepared in case he attacks me. Do you think that I can take him with that trick combined with your chakra? Maybe, but to me you pitiful humans are all weak. As long as you are not defeated, I'll be okay. The container of the great Kyuubi no Kitsune can't be weak, do you understand, monkey? That gave place to a lot of bickering between him and the fox that came to an end with the attack to Kabuto. Immediately after, they were able to do the first part, for which he simply let the fox amuse himself doing it. For the second part though, they have a purple-haired beauty as a proctor. Okay you losers, welcome to the Forest of Death, where the second part of the exams start. She looked at everyone in the clearing. Her eyes stopped in a blonde-haired kid dressed totally in black, except for 2 orange lines on his arms. She found that instead of looking at her with fear or interest, he was checking her out, and a little blood could be seen coming out of his nose. Of course she didn't know that Kyuubi was amusing himself sending Naruto images of her and doing a little few things with Naruto. Faster that almost anyone could track, she let a kunai fly and managed to scratch Naruto's cheek. She then disappeared, to appear at his side licking the blood that came out of his cheek. Murmuring so that nobody could hear them, she hissed at him. What the hell is doing a brat like you checking me out? At this Naruto let a little smile grace his face and answered. What? I was appreciating the best view there is in this village, besides you didn't seem to mind. Anko blushed a little and was about to answer, but they were interrupted by some long-tongued freak. Before she left she made clear that their conversation wasn't finished. Why? Oh, why everything happens around him. Just for one he wished that it happened to someone else. They were happily, well he at least, after all it wasn't every day that you meet a hot babe. Anyway, they have managed to acquire another heaven scroll from a particular stupid mist team and were on their way when a strong wind hits them on their back. Now while Naruto don't use elemental techniques, that doesn't mean that he has no knowledge or experience with them. He just preferred to learn and create non-elemental ones, like Cage Bunshin, especially Seal-less or ones that required chakra manipulation for 2 simple reasons. First, they cannot be copied, because they either need an especial way of manipulating chakra that cannot be emulated nor have seals. The other reason was that in case he ever married and have descendants, he couldn't be sure which elemental affinities they will have, so the clan techniques will have to be common to everyone. After all, everyone has chakra in one way or another. So it wasn't especially surprising when he stuck to the tree and holds himself against the attack. It soon was clear who the opponent was. It was that freak from before, just that this time he revealed himself to be Orochimaru. After a little fight he had bitten Sasuke's neck, leaving what looked like a seal. Now though, the bastard snake was trying to see what they can do. Kukuku, what's the problem, Naruto-kun? You seemed so confident before. Making 3 Kage Bunshin, he made 2 of then take Sasuke and Sakura's useless to safety, while the other stayed at his side. Oh, so you're going to fight me to save your teammates? Kukuku, amusing. Naruto though had no such intention. Faster than Sasuke before, he attacked with a few punch and kicks, expecting for the traitor Sannin to attack. A thunderous fist to the chest told him everything he needed to know. Wheezing, he performed an incredibly fast kawarimi with his clones and focused all his chakra on his feet, speeding in his teammates' direction. He heard the distinct sound of his full of exploding tags clone destruction and went faster. Orochimaru for his part was no amused. First the kid performed a kawarimi so fast that he almost couldn't track it and switched with a clone that had exploding tags self-created, he noted, even on his mouth. The blasted thing had the sheer gall of giving him the finger while laughing like a hyena. But one thing was sure. He would have the Kyuubi vessel watched, and if possible he would use him to help him get Sasuke. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX finish. Besides, why the hell didn't you help him, you useless idiot? Spat Sakura, starting scared but getting angrier with each word. Naruto wasn't especially amused. Oh, and what did you expect? For me to fight a Sannin just to save someone who was arrogant enough to do it? Besides, if there is someone useless, that's you. I at least took us out of there. What did you do besides crying? Seeing that she had no answer except tearing up a bit, he continued. Now do something useful and wait me here. Since I at least have some knowledge of seals, I'll see what I can do. You watch out for enemies. Sakura simply nodded. She didn't know why, but ever since the wave mission Naruto had been changing and she doesn't like it one bit. Before he would have never told her such hurtful things, but now he was completely different. She had to admit that he was a lot hotter, but he no longer desired her and he had been treating her with indifference for some time. Naruto for his part was analyzing the seal. Not because he was worried for Sasuke, it was because if Orochimaru gave him this seal, it was because it was powerful, so with Kyuubi's help he started memorizing it and testing it, making the unconscious Sasuke whimper. Okay brat, you can stop with the seal, we have all the data we can get, but there is something that I want you to do for my help this time. He should have known, of course, but he listened anyway. I want you to channel a bit of my chakra in the Uchiha's eyes. What? Are you crazy? What would I do something like that? Is this some way for you to escape Fox? Silence, insolent brat. I want you to do it as a safeguard. Take every opportunity you get to advance yourself. What do you mean? Never let an Uchiha power. They are the most corrupt creatures that ever existed. What my chakra will do is act as a controlled exploding tag. The moment you flare my chakra in a ram's seal, his eyes will be destroyed. But why do you want to do this? That kid will do everything for power, and an Uchiha is especially dangerous to you. Having me sealed within you, let's just say that the seal will give him more power and will make him even more unstable. The extremely serious tone of the demon told him to do it. Okay, I'll do it. Placing his hands on Sasuke's eyes, he channeled the Kyuubi's chakra and let him control to where he wanted it to go. Immediately Sasuke started trashing, letting a little scream of pain. Hey Kyuubi, what is your problem with the Uchiha clan? He received no answer. He took the hint. After finishing, he closed his scroll, in which he put the notes of the cursed seal and went outside of the tree to find Sakura trying to fight off 3 Oto nins. He supposed that he didn't feel them, with him taking notes and speaking with Kyubi. "Oh, look at this Dosu. There was another little genin here. It seems that we'll have to kill them to fight the Uchiha," a guy with a spiked hair said to the bandaged one. "Whatever, Zaku. Make it fast, we have no time to waste with these trash." Naruto noted that the black-haired girl with them was laughing too, so he answered with his now usual soft tone. "You shouldn't have come here. I really don't feel like fighting, but if you make me, I'll have no other choice but to disable you." His answer was met with laughter. The guy named Zaku shoot him a wind blast, that with surprising speed he evaded. Throwing a shuriken, he saw how the arrogant Oto genin was going to attack again. Before Zaku could react, Naruto substituted himself with the shuriken, and using the speed provided by the flying metal, he lashed with a punch to the temple, making pass out the genin. Seeing their fallen comrade, Dosu dashed at Naruto with his arm extended. Naruto had seen what the arm could do, so using a simple shunshin, he got behind Dosu and rammed a kunai on both of his shoulder, cutting the movement of his arms and making the arrogant genin scream. By now the black-haired girl was trembling, so he decided to let them go. He knew that he shouldn't, after all they were enemies, but he didn't care. Sakura was looking at him, like if he was some savior god. Turning to the girl, Naruto started talking. "Your scroll for your teammates." As simple as that, the girl, who was scared by now, just nodded. Right after they were gone, Naruto turned and looked in direction to a tree. "You 3 up there can come out. The same for you guys." Instantly Team 10 came out of a few bushes, and from the tree came down Team Guy. "Yash, Naruto-san, your flames of youth shine like 1,000 suns. Yash, I hope to fight you in the future." "Enough, Lee. We've wasted enough time with these losers as it is." The Hyuga was about to continue when a blast of corrupted chakra was felt around the clearing. Everyone turned to find Sasuke with a crazed smirk. The Uchiha looked at the condition in which Sakura was and immediately assumed that the other teams were there to take the scrolls. Ignoring the scream from Haruno for him to stop, he attacked. A fist sent Shikamaru to a tree. He was about to attack Choji, but Naruto appeared in front of him, blocking him. He could feel the disgusting chakra that Sasuke was using, and it was spreading more and more in form of black flames in all his body. Seeing that he was going to get them killed like that, he let go of Sasuke, and taking advantage of him losing his footing, he chopped him in the back on the head. Sasuke immediately fell unconscious, his marks receding. Taking him on his arms, he throws Shikamaru his second heaven scroll as an apology for his teammate, and telling Sakura to move it, they went at the tower direction. Arriving at the tower, they found that there was no one except them. Doing the only logical thing, they opened the scrolls, and a moment later in their place was Iruka. Seeing the state in which Sasuke was, Iruka called immediately for medic Nins and Kakashi. Upon seeing his student with a cursed seal, he told his other students to report what happened. Naruto noted how his eye narrowed upon mentioning about his knowledge of seals and how they escaped. He was instructed to go see the Hokage after finishing the second part of the exam. The next morning Sasuke was awakened and was told what happened. He was quite pissed that the dead last had saved him and defeated an entire team without his help. He had no time to tell anything because the preliminary rounds were going to start. After introducing a guy that looked half dead as the third part proctor, he asked if anyone wanted to give up. Kabuto, the guy they met at the beginning of the exam, gave up. Very weird because he was in perfect condition. With that started the fights. While they weren't especially exciting, they were informative about his future opponents. His good humor ruined when he saw who his opponent was. No other than Kiba. He supposed that he could have a fairly friendly fight, after all they were comrades. Yahoo! We lucked out, Akamaru. We got the dead last. There's no way we lose. I think you won't even need to fight. The tough of friendly fight died there. he was going to teach this overly stupid mutt why it was a bad idea to insult him. Taking his time to reach the arena, he found Kiba with his usual arrogant grin. He supposed that if he hasn't changed he would be like that or lose his patience and rush to beat him. Now though the mutt was in deep trouble. Inuzuka Kiba vs. Uzumaki Naruto. Begin. The moment the proctor said that, Kiba used his beast transformation and rushed at him. Meanwhile with the Junin sensei's Kurenai was looking at Kakashi with a smug face. Kakashi just raised his eyebrow. I am sorry Kakashi, but your student's luck just ran out. Kiba is just too strong. Really? Naruto looks to be doing pretty well. In fact he actually looks bored. It was true, Naruto was just eyeing the mutt, while this was trying to hit him. He may evade his attacks now, but he won't be able to evade his secret techniques. I agree, according to his stats, Kiba is way out of his league, said Asuma. Really? Tell you what, said Kakashi in his usual lazy tone, what about a bet? Sure, if Naruto wins, I'll train him in genjutsu for you when the exams are over. If he loses to Kiba, here she adopted a sadistic tone that made Anko proud, you'll burn all those books. At this Kakashi paled. Naruto was capable of losing just to see him lose his books. Down in the arena Naruto sneezed. In the end he accepted with reluctance and prayed that Naruto wins. Down in the arena, Naruto was actually bored. The mutt was incredibly slow, so he decided to attack. Kiba was about to hit him with a claw when Naruto ducked under it and responded with a fist to the chin and followed with a knee into the stomach, making Kiba spat a bit of blood and sending him crashing into his dog. In the stands, the Junins were wide-eyed. Here was the dead last of the academy kicking a supposedly stronger opponents. Kiba was now pissed, Naruto noted. He decided to use a little technique he had created. It was not a big technique. In fact he had been working on this for 3 years now. The technique he was going to use was a part of the process of learning his actual technique. His scroll was full of notes for it. I think it's time I put you in your place dead last, snarled Kiba. Taking a pill, he fed it to his dog and Naruto noted that the puppy had turned red. It seemed that this was his surprise technique. He noted with irritation that the mutt though that they were some kind of pack and thinks of himself the alpha dog, while him the omega one. He made a few clones so that way he wouldn't know who to attack. Jujin Bunshin. Akamaru had just transformed in another Kiba, the both of them jumps in the air and start spinning in his direction. Gatsugaa. Both Akamaru and Kiba started ripping through his clones, allowing him to take out a couple of smoke bombs. Throwing them in the floor, huge clouds of orange smoke follow it. The bombs were for his pranks, so that the Inuzukas could not track him. In the cloud both Kiba and Akamaru had stopped since they could not track Naruto. Taking advantage of this, Naruto reared his fist back and used his technique. Boom! An explosion sends both Kiba and Akamaru like raged dolls against a wall. All the audience could see blood coming out of their ears. Everyone was just looking with wide eyes at the scene. Kakashi was the most surprised, because he couldn't see anything. Winner Uzumaki Naruto. Nobody clapped, everyone were too surprised to do anything. Kurenai's face was a mixture of anger and worry, the last one for her student. After Naruto's fight the rest was pretty boring except for Lee and Hinata's fights. The last one, he promised himself that the Hyuga would pay. He was going to take their pride and crush it. He was on his way out when an Anbu landed in front of him. Uzumaki Naruto, the Hokage request your presence. He expect to see you tomorrow at 9 a.m., since he can't see you today. At this Naruto nodded and bided farewell to the Anbu. It was the first one to treat him with education after all. Besides he still had things to do today. Going in the same direction that Kakashi went, he wasn't surprised to find himself at the hospital. Quickly spotting Kakashi, He went in his direction. Kakashi, seeing him, spoke first. I know what you want, and I am sorry to say that I cannot train you. Naruto could only sigh. He had done it again and trusted in the man once more. I know that you're pissed, but I found you a good trainer and, wait, Naruto. The moment he indicated that he was going to left him to some other idiot to train, he decided that he was going to do as always and from then on, train by himself with the fox little input. He ignored Kakashi's calls and got out of the hospital. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX happy to find that it was perfect. The design, unlike the Yondaimi's specials kunais, was actually a nodashi in size and form, but was made like a kunai. In other words, it was the handle of a kunai a bit longer in which he could place the necessary seal arrays, but the rest was like a nodashi. Think of Zatoichi's sword, the handle, like a kunai, with circle and all, or Kimamaro's shoulder. He had already sealed it and was on his way to practice the water walking technique that the fox told him when he bumped into someone. Looking up, he saw a big white-haired man, with green and red clothes and what looked 2 red tears painted on his face. He recognized him as Jiraiya of the Sannin. Apologizing quietly, he started to go on his way to his house when the voice of the man stopped him. Jiraiya for his part looked at the kid and found that the description given to him by his sensei was far from the truth. He observed that the kid had what looked like a giant sealing scroll. Jiraiya was sure that his student would be proud of his son learning about seals. Deciding to train the kid for a bit to see what he could do, he stopped him. "Hey kid, are you Uzumaki Naruto?" "Yes, what of it?" "The Hokage asked me to train you for the finals, so follow me." Nodding, he followed the guy to a clearing, which he noted had a good view of a bunch of girls. He deduced that the guy was just a big pervert. Said pervert started making hand seals. Naruto tensed, but a moment later there was a big frog with a big scroll. He looked at Jiraiya for an explanation. This one immediately puffed his chest and told him, "This is a summoning contract for the toads." Jiraiya noted that Naruto tensed. Naruto though remembered where he heard of this guy. He was the 4th teacher. Besides, he had planned to make a trip and try to gain his own summoning contract with Kyuubi's help, who knew where to start looking. And to top it, he disliked toads. The only one he liked was his Gama-chan. "Thank you very much." He didn't hate them, it just that he found them creepy. "I am sorry, but I won't sign it." At this, Jiraiya's jaw dropped. What kind of fool doesn't want to sign the famous toad summoning contract? He voiced his question and was answered in the same soft and firm tone Naruto used before. "While they may be strong, I don't like toads very much, and I won't be able to sign another contract in the future in case I came across one that complement my skills." Seeing this, Jiraiya sighed. "You're loose, kid, but since you don't want to learn this, I guess that I'll teach you another thing." After rubbing his chin for a moment, he started speaking again. "Tell me one thing, have you noted that you have 2 charkas?" "Kyuubi," Naruto simply said. He knew where this was going and he didn't like it. "Oh, so you know. Well, that made it easier. Now have you tried to use his power?" Tired of this, he said, "Look, thank you for the offer of training, but I'll manage myself. I have no need to use borrowed power while I have mine." "What? Do you know what you can do with that kind of power?" "You could." "Do you think you're the first to ask me?" "Huh, I am going to say it only once more. I won't use the fox power, and I will only relay in my own power and nothing more. Now if you excuse me, it was a pleasure meeting you, goodbye." With that, he walked away with a murderous expression. How dare this guy and the old man to try make him use the fox power? He was more disappointed in the Hokage. He thought that he got the hint after he made Iruka try to convince him to train with it. That had made their relation rather strained with both of them, but this was almost an insult. He was going to have a little talk with the Hokage about this tomorrow, and he vowed that by the end of this exam he would be strong enough to wipe the floor with almost everyone. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX Naruto didn't even bother with a reply. These people just have his indifference now. Ah, Naruto-kun, come in. Inside with the Hokage was Jiraiya. Hokage-sama, he said coldly. The Sandaime could only sigh. Naruto, I know that you don't want to use the Kyuubi chakra, but Jiraiya here had found that an organization called Akatsuki is after the tailed beast, so we got to make you strong as fast as possible. Even if this was a good reason, he still wasn't going to use borrowed power. I understand, but I won't be getting stronger, just borrowing power. I refuse, Naruto said firmly. He had been bothered enough with the demon prejudice, to now start using his power and gives them reason to it. Seeing that he wouldn't agree, he changed to another topic. There is also the fact that you don't want to sign the summoning contract. Do you realize that is not every day you get to sign one? Hi, but, he directed his gaze to the Yondaime's picture for a moment. I am not especially fond of toads, let's just say that I have phobia. Neither the Hokage nor Jiraiya missed the look to the portrait, but they stayed quiet. Especially Sarutobi, and he was worried because of he change in Naruto. Naruto-kun, what happened to change you this much? Many things. For starter, I realized that I wasn't serious about being shinobi, so I started working. I realized that being Hokage was just a way to escape the hate of this village, for whose villagers I can only feel indifference, making me unfit to be Hokage, not that they would let me. And last, I realized that if I want to be strong, I have to work for it myself, since no one is going to help me. Now Naruto, you have people who cares about you and would be more than willing to help you. There's Iruka and of course Kakashi. At this he let out a hollow laugh that almost broke the old Hokage's heart. Oh yes, those two. How about I tell you what I learned from them? From Iruka I learned nothing. All the knowledge required to graduate from the academy I have to train myself to the point of pass out, because neither he nor the other teachers could see past the jailer. He accepted me, yes, and I was grateful for it, but he wasn't able to overcome his grudge until the end, and by then it was too late for me to learn anything from the academy. While sad, the Hokage had to ask himself, since when was Naruto able to speak like this? Then we have Kakashi. I thought that he would be a good teacher, but instead the only thing I learned from him was tree walking. Even the water walking technique I have to learn it from the scrolls one bought, and when I think that he was going to teach me because of the exams, he goes and says that he can't, probably to go and train the bloodline boy. And last we have Jiraiya-san here, who actually tried to teach me something, but I thought I made clear I hated use Kyuubi's chakra, so please forgive me if my enthusiasm for teachers is not much. By the end the Hokage and Jiraiya could only look at him with a bit of sadness and disappointment on themselves. Regaining his self-control, Sarutobi said, I see, Naruto, I told you about the reasons for the Kyuubi. As for Kakashi, he was asked by the council and me to train Sasuke. That way he would be watched with the curse seal on him, and Orochimaru, we can't afford to lower our defenses. I wasn't complaining about him. I was just stating facts, plain and simple. I can understand that, but there's no reason for him to let us without training for months and only teach us tree walking. I would have thought that someone who has copied more than 1,000 techniques have something to teach their students, or at least correct theirs weakness. Either way, I actually prefer train alone, so is all good. It pained Sarutobi that the usually cheerful Naruto had become in this serious kid. Letting a sigh, he just let the subjects drop and asked for his report from the forest and Orochimaru. He was surprised about Naruto's uses of clones. He already seen him fight in the preliminaries, but he still was impressed how Naruto dealt with the Inuzuka kid so fast. Very well, Naruto-kun, I guess this is all. Before you go, I guess that I can help you at least a little with your training, giving you some scrolls, so tell me, what do you need to help you? Naruto let a thin smile appear on his face. This was a good opportunity to reach new heights on his training and mend bridges with his grandfather figure. He still cared for the old man after all. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX worried, especially in Ichiraku, where he could be usually found. Naruto for his part was happy. After a little discussion in the Hokage Tower, he had come out with a big tome in the most advanced seals, something that took him a good amount of time to convince them since Jiraiya wanted to teach him that, and two jutsus, specifically, the Kage Bunshin for shurikens and the explosive clone. He had managed to train a lot and had finally finished his technique. It was ironic because he finished and mastered it after 3 years of work. Jiraiya that came from time to see his progress and teach him the Rasengan for some reason that Naruto didn't understand, saying that it was vital that he learn it in seals, had laughed after Naruto explained his technique. He said that like the Yondaime with Rasengan, it took him 3 years to create and master. His laugh died when Naruto told him that unlike the Rasengan, this one got stronger with time and control, and that it took little chakra, because it was a matter of moving the chakra, not releasing it. Another similarity that the technique had with the Rasengan was that it was divided in 3 steps. Speaking of which, he had managed to learn the Rasengan. The bloody thing was hard to do. He still could only do it with a clone's help. After the exam, he would have to practice to do it one-handed and making it in a second. Now though, after writing down his 4 new techniques in the scroll and the book on seals, he was going in direction to the stadium. He had no doubt that he would beat the arrogant genin after what he did to Hinata. While he was not a very good friend of her, she never insulted him, and was always nice to him although creepy sometimes. Okay. Everyone except Uzumaki Naruto and Hyuga Neji, please leave the field, said the proctor, who Naruto noted was different. He supposed that the sick-looking one died or something. Why do you even bother? You were a loser at the academy. Fate decrees that you will lose this match to me, said arrogantly the Hyuga. So if that's true, then that means you should bow to me, after all you're a slave, right? Naruto said with a little smile. He knew because of Jiraiya. Neji's expression turned murderous. You bastard. He moved to attack but the proctor stopped him. I haven't say fight yet, he informed Neji. Tut tut. Temper Hyuga. You will get what you deserve shortly, he ended coldly. First fight of the finals. Uzumaki Naruto vs. Hyuga Neji. Begin. Quote. Neji immediately rushed at him aiming to his chest so he could finish quickly. Using Shunshin, which surprised everyone, he created some distance between them and took the opportunity to throw a shuriken at Neji. Said person who had activated his eyes after Naruto's show of speed scoffed at the single shuriken. His expression turned to horror though when he saw how the lone kunai turned into 20 of them. He immediately started spinning shouting his technique. Kaden. In the crow everyone gasped except for Tenten whose expression has changed from smug thinking that Neji was going to win to a fangirlish one, at seeing Naruto's technique. Hiyashi was explaining his daughter about the technique and how Neji was the most talented in the Hyuga. Hinata was looking at Naruto worried and everyone else was waiting to see what Naruto was going to do. In the fighting arena, Neji had stopped spinning. See, it's useless, this is my absolute defense, and a simpleton like you had no hopes of hitting me. I don't need to do it. I plan to win without even touching you. It would be a waste of time hitting a weakling like you. At this Neji's eyes narrowed. What did you said, loser? Exactly that. You see, with you pissed at me, it was fairly easy to throw a shuriken like that without you noticing how different it is from others, At this Neji and everyone noted that where the usual hole in the middle of a shuriken was, it covered by some red circular tag. You see now I only need to send a chakra signal for all those shurikens surrounding you explode and give you some nasty burns, so I'll give you the chance of apologizing to Hinata and surrender, or I can always get the pleasure of seeing you go boom. Neji and everyone who knows Naruto were astonished. The kid only needed a technique, and one that was commonly used as a diversion, to completely destroy an opponent, and a Hyuga at that. Like I am going to believe some loser like you. I won't apologize. Do you have any idea what I've been through? Here he started telling Naruto some emo story, which Naruto simply didn't care. So if you think I am going to do that, then you are more of a loser than I thought. Besides, I think you're bluffing. At this Naruto just looked at him and let out a chakra pulse. Boom! The explosives in the shurikens that surrounded Neji went out, creating a massive explosion. When the smoke cleared, everyone could see a big crater with a heavily burned Neji unconscious on it. Gemma, seeing this, declared Naruto the winner. Nobody applauded. Everyone was just looking at Neji and Naruto, no believing what they were seeing. Gemma couldn't fault them. What kind of psycho used so many bombs? Far away from there, a blonde man sneezed, blowing himself up and losing a fight with Uchiha Itachi. After a moment, when the stadium started cheering Naruto, he simply bowed and went in direction to the competitor's stand. He was lucky since he had no need to use any other of his 4 new techniques, but he had a feeling that he would end needing them soon, and he couldn't wait to show it. This was annoying, thought Naruto while jumping from tree to tree. After a fight between Shikamaru and the Sand Girl, Kakashi and the Uchiha appeared. Of course, being the drama queens their entrance had to be cool. Well, the fight that followed was annoying. He was pissed. Okay. The Uchiha seemed to have copied Lee's speed with chakra, making him faster than Naruto, and that fool of Kakashi taught a clearly unstable maniac his lightning technique. To top it all, he had been tasked with assisting the Uchiha, so yes, he was pissed. He wasn't thrilled about fighting another maniac either. Arriving at the scene, he found a beaten Sasuke about to be crushed with sand. Sakura, seeing that Naruto was merely looking at it, jumped, taking Sasuke out of the way. "You, how dare you to take my prey from me?" A clearly insane Gaara screamed as sand surrounded him, transforming him in some kind of miniature tanuki. Taking out a few elemental seals, especially designed to transform chakra to lightning, he attacked the Sunanin while he was distracted instead of head-on like a fool would. The moment the seals touched the sand of the kid's arm, he started howling in pain. Temari, along with Sasuke and Sakura, who were seeing the fight, were wide-eyed. Temari was in awe and a bit scared that there was someone who could take on Gaara. Sasuke, though, was pissed off. It seemed to him that the Dobi was getting stronger than him with each passing day, and he wasn't even using a powerful technique like his Chidori. Naruto, meanwhile, seeing that the Suna Jinchuriki was immobilized, decided to use the trick he had prepared in case he fought this guy. Taking out a set of wire, he started channeling Kyuubi's chakra and trapped Gaara with it. Seeing this, Gaara tried to pull more power, but that was his mistake. The moment he did, he felt pain beyond anything. Deciding to explain, Naruto started talking. "It's useless. Those wires are surrounded in the strongest chakra that a creature like your mother could create. Is useless. Surrender. Besides, why do you fight? What's the point of killing like a mindless imbecile? Right now I am putting to sleep your demon and you keep going." With as much strength as he could gather, Gaara answered. "Because I only have myself. I love only myself and kill in the name of Mo." He stopped because of a punch in the face from Naruto. "Only yourself? Then what about your brother? Huh? What about your sister? Even after knowing what you are, they still stood beside you. You disgust me. You're a disgrace to the Jinchuriki name," he said coldly. With that, and making sure to place a seal, so he couldn't take chakra from Shukaku, he left Gaara at Temari's care. Turning, he created 2 Kage Bunshin to take his teammates, not that they would be for long. He had no intentions to stay in this team. While he jumped away, he had to wonder if Suna have become so weak as to not be able to kill this guy. Common, he was a genin, maybe a chunin, a competent ambush should be able to write. To this day he was still pissed. Some things happened since that fight. The Sandame survived thanks to the idea Naruto gave him. It was rather simple. He told the old man to use the same summoning scrolls that were used in the exams to summon Jiraiya. It was one of his most amusing memories, the face of Jiraiya and the old man, when he told them. He overheard them speaking of the invasion, and while he was not happy with them, he didn't want them dead. A week later he decided to give the Hyuga girl a chance and he started going out with her. He didn't know what that girl problem was, but a week later he found her with that mutt, Kiba. Naruto was heartbroken, but he was even more pissed. Proof of this was the state of Kiba after Naruto finished with him. He was still in the hospital. Hinata seemed to have some kind of psychological problem, because she started to follow him again, this time with a Sakura-like personality after Sasuke. It seemed to him that this village got even weirder with time. Crazy the lot of them, he said. Not that he was better with his upbringing. He was now trying to find the fox in his mindscape. The freaking idiot put a genjutsu on his own head so Naruto couldn't find him, bloody fox. He knew that his newly created technique had the potential to use genjutsu while fighting and without hand seals, similar to the fox, but for the fox to run from his questions, it only reinforced his beliefs that if he was like he was before, a retard, he wouldn't be able to create it. Approaching the seal, he dispelled the genjutsu to find the Kyuubi curled and trying to make him or her as little as possible. Naruto's sweat dropped. What the? Come here. It's time we have a little conversation, fox. I don't know what you're talking about. You know what I am talking about. Explain to me this, how I am so smart. How about the fact a few minutes ago I was able to use your healing factor with my own chakra, or, I don't know. How I woke this morning surrounded by fire. Okay. Shut up, you monkey, I'll tell. Okay. Naruto stayed quiet. Well, for that I'll need to tell you how the Uchiha came to be. Hey, I don't give a FCK about those pricks, just tell me what I want. Be quiet, insect, I'll get to that. Good. Now, for your information, you're not my first vessel. There was just one else. His name was Zatoichi. I was sealed in him at birth just like you. This time for mistake since I was asleep at the time. As you probably know, he was a very ancient famous swordsman. Well, after a few years I discovered that, much to my surprise, my chakra had some weird effect on the human. You see, my chakra seemed to be trying to correct my host weakness. More specifically, my chakra was trying to enhance the thing my host needed more. The older my host got, the stronger that quality got. Since he was blind, my chakra focused on his eyes. That's how the Byakugan was born. Wait, weren't you going to tell me about the Uchiha? Yes, you fool. Now quiet. Okay. Geez. Well, as I was telling you, that's how the Byakugan was born. Zatoichi ended marrying and had 2 kids with the same eyes. The years passed and those 2 kids became more and more arrogant about their eyes and strength. All ended when they exiled Zatoichi. Devastated and furious, he unconsciously channeled my chakra to his eyes in large quantity until his Byakugan turned red. As you probably already deduced, that's how the bloodline that kid with Raiga was using came to be. Well, Zatoichi married again. This time he had 3 kids, 2 male and 1 female. Zatoichi teach them to hate his former sons, so that's why the Hyuga are hated so much. Well, the big problem came when I escaped. Inari, the only god with the ability to control me, decided that I couldn't let go running around without control, so he gifted one of the childs, creating what you now know as the Sharingan. At this, Kyuubi stopped as to think. Naruto was just looking gaping. Well, that kid wasn't the only one. You see, after seeing what Inari did, I lost control and attacked him. This time Inari had no power over me and I crushed him in battle in his debilitated state. He was saved by the other gods, who since then have left this world. In my battle, it seemed that when I wounded Inari, a bit of his blood fell on a human kid. His name was Senju Torobu, and yes, he was the founder of the Senju clan, just to give you a little of trivia. So taking this into account, you're telling me that I'll gain some bloodline and that all this was like with the Byakugan. Well, yes and no. You see, the only thing you gained naturally was the healing ability, because you needed that the most in this village. Well, it's not exactly healing ability. I've been looking at it and it's more of a chakra manipulation technique or a new type of chakra. You can note it when you use henge, and your transformations are actually real. If you were to experiment more you could discover more things. To put it simply, my chakra created a new chakra net or veins, if you will, making your body different from humans and making it hereditary. Cool. With this I am going to be awesome. I wonder what else I can do with this chakra, and I can leave something more than scrolls to my kids. As for the fire, I decided to give you that. I saw your nature affinity, Earth. In this case what I was planning was for you to get your affinity to the same level as the fire one with a little of help from me. When you do, you'll be able to use Yuten, magma or lava techniques once I tell you the secret of that manipulation. Hell yeah. Wait, what about me being smarter? Naruto asked confusedly. Oh, that, I just did it because you were a retard. Honestly, Sakura Chaann. You can only get smarter from your retarded former self, the fox mocked him. He was about to answer him rudely, when he was pulled out of his mind. He awakened to find Jiraiya and the old man looking at him oddly. After trying to ask him if he was okay or if he was speaking with Kyuubi, which he denied, they went directly to the point. He noted that both were kind of nervous. Well, Naruto, we were hoping we could talk with you about a delicate matter. Seeing the seriousness of the Hokage, Naruto nodded and let him continue. Naruto, do you remember all those times that you asked me about your parents? Asked the Hokage while using a privacy jutsu. At this, Naruto's eyes narrowed. Yes, you always said that you didn't know what of it. Sigh. Well, I have to admit that I was lying. Your father left instructions about when to tell you. So you're telling me that the idiot knew about how my life was going to be and left me by myself until now? This time Naruto's voice came out like a growl. Handing him a scroll and a letter, Sandaime answered. It'll be better if you read it yourself. Taking the letter and sealing the scroll on his giant sealing one, he started reading. Dear Naruto, if you're reading this, that means that Kushina died too. I can only say how sorry I am to put such a burden on you. I tried to find another way, but in the end it had come to this. In case you haven't deduced it already, I am Namikaze Minato, Yondaime Hokage and your father. I told Sarutobi to give you this letter when you're strong enough to defend yourself. I can only hope that you have a good life and be considered a hero as I wanted. In any case, if you didn't grow up with your mother, her name is Uzumaki Kushina and the love of my life. In this scroll, you'll find my two original and strongest techniques, Rasengan and Hiraishin. I had hoped to one day create a strong family with these technique and others. Also you'll find pictures and a lot of things, including heirlooms from both your mother and me. Please have a good life, my son. Your father, Namikaze Minato, Yondaime Hokage of Konogakure no Sato. Naruto noted the Hokage seal under the name, making it legal and authentic. He turned to find Sarutobi and Jiraiya looking at him with worried expressions. Okay. So what? The surprised looks on their faces were priceless. What do you mean so what? You're Yondaime's son and you only say so what? Jiraiya almost screamed. Sarutobi was shaking his head with a surprised face. Yes, so what? I spend all my life surviving and now what? I just go all happy because dear daddy left me a letter apologizing. Sarcasm dripping from his voice. Sarutobi and Jiraiya just looked sadly at him and sighed. Anyway, I was looking for you. We're going in a mission to find the new Hokage. And pray tell, why would I want to go in such a mission? As you can tell, I am already doing quite well by myself. Besides, what the FCK? Hyuga, what the hell do you want now? From behind a tree came out Hinata with a full blush. Sandaime, that sometimes spied in Naruto, knew about the failed relationship between Naruto and Hinata, and could only sigh, really the youth these days. Jiraiya though didn't. Haha, what do we have here? You dog, now I know why you didn't want to come. Hinata, who had a blush, directed a hopeful look at Naruto, who simply answered. I don't want to go with you, because it would be a waste of time and she is nothing to me, so please keep your lecherous commentaries to your books. Jiraiya was a bit saddened, but he reverted to pervert when Naruto mentioned the books. Hinata though was sad. And Naruto-kun, please. I thought that I made clear that I wanted nothing to do with you the last time we met, or wasn't that clear enough? Naruto snapped at her. Hinata instantly started running in her home direction while crying. I know what she did, Naruto-kun, but you didn't have to be so cruel, said Sandaime. He knew that the girl would be in trouble with Hiashi. While he was against his daughter seeing the demon brat, he surely would approve of her being with Yondaime's son, and with Hinata cheating on Naruto, it was going to make the girl's life even more difficult. She should have thought about it before cheating on me. Of all the people, I would have expected her to not consider me like my former idiot self. I see. Anyway, Naruto, I need you to accompany Jiraiya to look for Tsunade so she can be the Godime Hokage. I told you already I don't feel like going with the perv, besides why the hell me? It's not like I care who Hokage is. Sigh. Consider it as your first mission out of Team 7 and part of your training for your next Chunin exams. Which I will not be taking part. What? Why not? Both Jiraiya and Sarutobi shouted. Maybe because I don't feel like being a shinobi anymore. Besides, I already have enough money to live the rest of my life without problem. But Naruto, do you realize what you're saying? You're Yondaime's son, you have to be a shinobi. Exactly that. Before I was nothing but the demon brat, hella FC king guy who forfeited, and even Sasuke made Chunin for just copying a technique. Then I go beat the so-called genius Neji with brains and only a technique, and even beat Gaara and nothing. Hell, I gave you the scroll to summon Ero Sennin, which Orochimaru must be cursing me by the way, and then FCK the Jinchuriki weapon, that'll teach him his place, you know what? FCK it. I am tired. Even I have a limit. If they want someone to abuse, use the Hyuga. She seemed quite happy when the Inuzuka was with her. With that he turned around and started walking away. Are you going to break your promise, Naruto? What about Konohamaru and those that care for you? Said Sarutobi sadly. Yes, I am going to break my promise. At this, Sarutobi and Jiraiya eyes widened. After all, I am not the same retard that dreamed of protecting this village and be acknowledged by everyone. As for Konohamaru, I'll help him become the Rokudime Hokage as is his dream. As for me, I am done. When Naruto was out of their sight, Jiraiya, who was looking at Naruto sadly, suddenly brightened and turned to Sarutobi. Hey sensei, if he knew of my books, then that means that he reads them, right? Sarutobi could only sigh, although with a little blush on his cheeks. Naruto, who was walking to his home, suddenly sneezed. Shrugging, he continued his way while reading the newest edition of Ika Ika Paradise. Since that conversation, a lot of things happened. A day later, he was recognized as Yondaime's son and chaos erupted, really foolish. The entire village was after him, many trying to apologize and others even going as far as making marriage proposals, much to his amusement and the ire of some of his former teammates. The chaos only went higher when it was made known that he retired as a ninja, and Iwa announced a bounty on him, much to his annoyance, those FC King pricks. Needless to say, the very ones who denied his Chunin title were almost at his feet trying to get him to be one again. All in all, Naruto couldn't help but be disgusted how civilians were able to meddle in shinobi affairs, all thanks to the Shadaime's stupid family-like tendencies with respect to shinobis. The council were not happy thought when he used his right as Yondaime's son and forbid both Jiraiya and Kakashi to teach Rasengan to anyone using a seal often used by the clans just in case. To make those two accept, he bribed Kakashi with Ika books, and for Jiraiya, he had to help him with his research, namely help him spy in the hot springs. To add more to the wound, he decided to teach Konohamaru the technique, placing the same seal on him and using Kyuubi's chakra to stop the Uchiha from copying it just in case. Of course they protested, but they were in no position to do such a thing, especially with him being so popular now. All the time Jiraiya and Sandaime were looking at him sadly. He didn't care though. Why should he let these people get their hands in something that was his? A week later Jiraiya was on his way with one pissed of Naruto. Of course, even if he was retired, having the record for shortest ninja career after Morino Idate, the Hokage deemed him the best person to convince Tsunade. He was counting on the fact that the old Naruto would help to convince Tsunade. He should have thought better. He was different, so his methods were sure as hell different. They had stopped for the night in a hotel in Tanzaku, and the pervert had just gone out when there was a knock on his door. Creating a cage bunchen, he sends it to open it, to find a big blue guy with a sword and a copy of an older Sasuke, just slightly less emo looking. Naruto-kun, you're to come with us. He recognized these two. After telling him about Akatsuki, he asked the pervert for information, and these guys were the first to appear. He did the logical thing. He jumped out of the room through the window and used Shunshin to get the hell out of there. It was useless, because arriving to a clearing he found those two again waiting for him. Now, we can't have you running. I think I should cut your legs so you can't escape, he. Hoshigaki Kisame, a freaking sadist. This guy was annoying. I actually prefer to get away from you guys. He started charging his chakra for the technique. Kisame, seeing this, started running to probably use that chakra weapon of his, but he was not prepared for what happened next. Amatsu, heavenly or imperial, yes, finally the technique. Both Akatsuki members saw how the chakra surrounding Naruto, that instead of being formed normally, was constructed by little chakra waves, gave out what looked like the beat of a heart. Immediately they saw how a wave of cutting wind started expanding in all directions. They sure as hell noted, that implied their direction too. Itachi took refuge behind Kisame, who used his sword to cover. When the wave passed he noted that even Samahata was damaged. For a moment they looked at the now grinning blonde with expression that clearly said, WTF. Itachi decided to show why he was considered a genius. That's an impressive technique, Naruto-kun. Even my Sharingan couldn't copy it, especially since the chakra used like that stopped me from it and I couldn't see through it. I guess that this technique requires quite a lot of control and only the chakra necessary to surround your body once, using the technique as much as you want. Itachi was merely saying it aloud so Kisame could know, who was grateful for the information. Hey, I didn't know about the last thing. I was actually recharging it every time. Thanks for the tip, dude. Naruto noted with amusement that Itachi eyebrow twitched and Kisame was looking at Itachi amused and Naruto pissed because of his sword. Either way, you'll come with us. I don't think your technique right now can resist again a high-level fire technique. It's too immature, and with your control right now, it's not at his best. Itachi noted that Naruto twitched and almost smirked if not for his control. He was about to attack when Jiraiya appeared with two other women, one of them another Sanin. Kisame, we'll retire for now. With that they were gone in a quick shunshin. Yo brat, are you okay? Asked Jiraiya after the Akatsuki duo were gone. Yeah, where the hells were you, Ero Senin? I almost got killed by those freaks. I told you that it was a bad idea to get out of the village now, Naruto said while he was checking out the two women. One big blonde and a black-haired cutie. Relax, besides I saw your technique in action and I must say it was awesome. It sure can hold his own against the Kaden or the Rasengan and it gets stronger. It's a shame you're not wind-natured like your father. The blonde woman immediately turned to Jiraiya. You told him. Both sensei and I did. We deemed him ready. Besides he retired, he said a bit bitter. At this the blonde woman turned to him with wide eyes. Why the hell you did that? That would be a complete waste of talent. That technique was a masterpiece. Who teach it to you? I made it. At this both her and the black-haired one were wide-eyed looking at him. Do you really expect me to believe that? Like I care if you believe me or not. Wait, said Naruto suddenly realizing something. If you saw me making the technique that means you were close a lot early, right? At this Tsunade shrugged and said, the perv wanted to see how you handled the situation and your technique. Jiraiya was sweating. Naruto turned to him with a murderous expression. You ucking bastard, Amatsu. A few hours later he was in a bar with Tsunade and Shizune. Jiraiya was nowhere close to be seen. He supposed that the old man told him about his former way of changing people for the best. Idiot. Like he cared. Since he was considered an adult he was getting shit drunk with Tsunade and after a lot of nagging the black-haired cutie, whose name he found was Shizune. They were speaking about his technique, or more like Tsunade wanted to learn it. Come on. Why not? I mean I'll trade with you if you want. It seemed that the woman favored techniques that required control, and one that only needed control and a little chakra to use as many times as you want was like a treasure and a perfect combination with her strength. Okay, but you'll have to use that seal of the clans and you'll have to come with us to Konoha. At this Tsunade looked at him weirdly for a moment and asked. Why do you care if I go to Konoha? After all you don't even care about it. Well, neither the council nor Sarutobi would stop nagging me to be a shinobi again. So with you there I think that can stop for a while. Of course the deal would have to include a permission to travel from time to time. Now my turn. Why do you hate the title so much? At this Tsunade looked saddened and started telling him her story. Naruto felt a bit of pity, but he made her see that those persons were probably happy to have died like heroes and that by taking the title she can honor their death and was like they were living their dream with her. After accepting the deal for her and Shizune who wanted to learn the technique too, they started drinking like there was no tomorrow to celebrate the deal and the start of a new life for Tsunade. The next morning Tsunade woke to find her apprentice running out of her room with a big blush on her face and to her amazement. Looking at herself she found that she too was. In that moment she panicked. There was no way that she slept with Shizune. Her panic attack was cut short when she felt someone snore softly beside her. Praying that it was not Jiraiya, she found no other than Naruto and like her and the rest of the room sticky. It was in that moment that she remembered what happened last night. They got drunk and Naruto started flirting with her and Shizune and before they knew it they were in the room. The only things she remembered were Naruto's stamina, Kage Bunshin and a lot of pleasure before she passed out with a blush on her face. Naruto thought awakened by the noise, looked to find a sleeping in Tsunade and he remembered last night, or as he was going to call it since now, the best FCKING night of his life, and yes pun intended. He supposed that Kyuubi was useful for once. After all he was instructing Naruto what to do sometimes and how to do it. Taking the time to give a big squeeze to Tsunade's he covered her body and got out of the room, in direction to his. He came down to find Jiraiya with the biggest lecherous grin he had seen on his face and giggling like a schoolgirl while writing in a notepad. When he saw Naruto, he could see tears running down the man's cheeks. Immediately Jiraiya wrapped Naruto in a hug. "Oh my dear new student, there's no doubt in my mind now that you surpassed your father already. You're a gold mine." Naruto was scared. At this rate he expected to see the sun and wave that usually appeared when Guy hugged Lee. This time though, he noted with annoyance that behind them appeared a giant front page of Arrow Seinen books. This one was titled, Haruto, The Adventures of the One-Man Gangbang Army. They had no time to contemplate because they felt an immense killing intent coming from behind them. They turned to find Tsunade with Shizune behind. Although they both had a blush on their faces, it was clear that Tsunade was pissed and that they were going to be in pain soon. On the road to Konoha, a blonde beautiful woman and her beautiful apprentice could be seen walking, followed closely by what looked like mummies. They were not. In this case Naruto and Jiraiya got the beating of their life. Naruto couldn't be any happier to have his new bloodline, which he planned to tell to no one. Jiraiya had been beaten because as usual he was a pervert, and Naruto, to make him understand to keep his mouth shut and for reading his books. Not that he was going to tell anyone, the only one he got along well right now was Lee, and he was more interested in training and Sakura. On their way, Naruto started teaching Tsunade and Shizune his technique. It had taken both of them hours to pick something that were extremely difficult to him. The good side was that the third and last part was not going very well, because neither woman was accustomed to use chakra that way, or it may be that only he could do it thanks to his new chakra. He was happy. He accomplished the mission, got laid with two of the hottest women he knew, and only he or his descendants would be able to use the technique. Jiraiya tried to learn it, but Naruto said that for now Rasengan was enough for the pervert and as a revenge of sort for leaving him in that blasted village. Besides, the pervert was having the time of his life seeing Naruto teaching Tsunade and Shizune. The three could be seen with big blushes, and Jiraiya always tended to end flying because of his perverted giggles. They finally arrived at Konoha, and it was amusing to receive a huge welcome party from the village. Naruto refused to stay and said goodbye to everyone. He went in direction to his father's house, that was his now. He didn't feel like going partying with those hypocrites. He was halfway to his home when he felt three presences approaching him. He stopped and tensed, preparing to use his ultimate defense in case of attack. He was not especially surprised to find his team looking a bit pissed, not like he cared. "Naruto, what is this I heard about you leaving the team and retiring as a shinobi? Do you know what have you done? Your sensei, son, you have to be a shinobi," Kakashi said harshly. "What the hell is the problem with everyone here? Just because he was the Yondaime, it doesn't mean that I have to be like him. I could care less what he was. Naruto, please reconsider. Is this because I didn't train you for the exams or because Sasuke made Chunin?" At this Naruto could see the Uchiha puff out his chest. "Jealous Dobi. Guess who?" Rolling his eyes, Naruto answered. "Please, do you really think I would stop being a shinobi because of that? If you remember Hatake." Kakashi winced and Sasuke and Sakura looked at him wide-eyed. "I trained myself pretty well for the finals, and as for the Uchiha, Zay looking at a stone is more entertaining than his little emo gay world. My reasons are personal and are not your business, so why don't you go to request another teammate? After all, you certainly wanted one before, why not now?" With that he started to walk away. Sakura, that until now was quiet, decided to speak now. "Naruto-kun, please." At this everyone looked weirdly at her while she blushed. "Come back. You know that we're a team. Whatever happened can be solved, so please come back to Team 7. I am retired now, and even if I go back to be a genin, what makes you think I would like to be in this team anyway?" so no, find another one. So you're going to quit now and abandon your teammates, Naruto? I trust that you remember what I told you the first day. Sensei would be disappointed. Kakashi knew that it was harsh, but as long as it worked. Oh, so we're with the trash talk now. Okay, my turn. First, I don't give a FCK what my father thinks of me right now, so that was useless. Second, you're calling me trash. Who were the ones that always left the Dobby behind as if he was nothing? Who was the one who left his student to teach his favorite one? Who was the one who always received snide remarks and always ended saving your asses? I could stay an entire day here talking, but I think you get what I mean. In any case, my father would be disappointed in you, first Hatake, for being a shitty teacher. Congratulations guys, you're trash. With that, he used Shunshin to get to his house, leaving a depressed Kakashi and sad Sakura and a pissed Uchiha. Peace. He had to admit that he wasn't thrilled at coming to live in this house, but he decided to stay. He had sealed all the techniques of the library on his scroll and had found that he needed another one. Sealing the giant scroll on his new arm seal, he went out to buy another one. After all, it wouldn't do for him to not be able to guard more knowledge. Coming out of his house, he found himself face to face with a black-haired woman with red eyes. Taking a moment to check her out and finding her quite hot, he decided to speak. "What can I do for you, Kurenai-san?" At this, Kurenai looked at him a little out of place. For one side, she was the sensei of the girl who cheated on him, even if she was somehow happy that Hinata was with someone she knew, even if it was Kiba. In the other hand, she felt a bit of pity for the kid. He had gone through so much, that it was a wonder that he was still sane. Finally, she had to fulfill her bet, even if the student wasn't a shinobi anymore. "Naruto, I don't know if Kakashi told you, but we made a bet about the outcome of your fight with Kiba." At the name she note that he narrowed his eyes. She sure couldn't blame him. And of course, he won, so now I have come here to teach you genjutsu as per the agreement. Naruto merely looked at her for a moment like if she had grown another head. "Do you realize that I am retired, right? I have no need for that now, and even if I would have learned by myself. In fact, I did, so it's okay, you can consider your debt paid, Kurenai-san." "Very well. Anyway, if you need some help with genjutsu, please tell me." She was a bit disappointed that he refused. She found that Kakashi and Sarutobi were right. Naruto was very reluctant now to accept a teacher or someone at that, and she decided not to ask if it was because of Kiba or Hinata. She was kind of hoping for him to accept, that way she could help him solve the problem with Hinata and Kiba. It seemed that being alone all his life except for a few people gave Naruto a good deal of experience in reading a person and avoiding it. She saw that he was in the same boat as Hinata with some problems due to their childhood. "Thank you, I'll have it in mind." He didn't feel like playing into Kurenai little games. He needed to get a new scroll. He found that they could act as weight if you sealed them in your arms. It wasn't much, but it was something. Besides, he preferred to have his techniques and his knowledge on himself that let it at home unprotected, except for a few seals, even if those were done by Yondaime. "Trust only yourself," that's what the fox told him. Even if both he and the fox knew that they were still enemies, the fox had to help him if he wanted to be free or at least survive. Walking in the store direction, he started thinking of his bloodline. According to Kyubi, healing was merely one of the abilities this chakra has. He also said that unlike the white chakra or Mokudan, this one was more like the Byakugan. If it was created by Kyubi, it will always appear on his descendants. The problem was that he only knew the healing part right now. He only tested the henge and it had proven to be very useful. He transformed in animals, and while he didn't get the senses and things like that, he got the physical part, meaning that if he transformed in a bird, he could fly. The downside was that the transformation must have the same weight and height or less than him. Of course, he still had to learn, since unlike other animals, he didn't have the instincts, so learning to fly for example required a lot of work. He would have to experiment to create more techniques for his clan, like the Amatsu. He would have to start looking in the Hyuga clan, since they were the ones who normally use pure chakra the most or just plain create them. He preferred the last. Arriving at the store, it wasn't difficult to find another scroll like the other. After paying for it he started walking in direction to his house. He was taking a shortcut through an empty training field when he suddenly turned around making hand seals. Kaden Gukaku no Jutsu. He spat a gigantic fireball. The fire went raising everything on its path in direction to six figures. Wait Naruto, it's us. Naruto saw that it was Sakura accompanied by Ino, Sasuke, Tenten and to his annoyance Hinata and Kiba. He did the logical thing, answer. I know. Kaden Gukaku no Jutsu, another fireball almost burned them. Damn it. Naruto, stop already. Screeched Sakura again. While the others were looking at him warily, Sasuke was looking at him in envy. He knew that fireball was more powerful than his, which means Naruto has a fire affinity unlike his that was lightning. Every time he thought that he was stronger, the Dobi always prove him wrong. Okay. What do you people want? And please make it quick, he snapped. We came to tell you that Tsunade Susho wants to see you tomorrow in her office. He raised an eyebrow at her. He didn't know that she was the new apprentice of Tsunade. Congratulations, I guess. Sakura blushed, saying thank you quietly. Naruto noted that Tenten was a bit saddened. He could remember Lee telling him that she was a fan of Tsunade. In true, he liked the girl and felt empathy for being an orphan like him. You just want to get on her pants, you're so evil, he heard Kyubi's mocking tone. Shut up. Very well. You have told me her message goodbye, even if all of you didn't need to come. He raised his eyebrow when he noted Tenten, Hinata and Kiba looking away. Tenten was the first one to speak. He noted that she was very nervous. I was wondering if I could talk to you alone. She directed a look at Hinata and Kiba. The first had her eyes narrowed. Do you know where my house is? At her nod he continued. Then go there please and wait for me, I'll be there shortly. At her nod with a blush she started jumping in direction to his house while he turned to talk with these two. So what do you want? I thought that I made clear that I want nothing to do with any of you. Surprisingly it was Kiba who started speaking. I came to apologize. He stopped for a moment. Naruto was sure that someone was behind this. Kiba had been after Hinata for a long time and to give it up. Okay, apology accepted. At these both of them looked at him with wide eyes and in the case of Hinata hopeful. This means that we can be. He didn't let her finish. This means that, apology accepted, shit happens and we deal with it, but this doesn't mean that I am going to forget and sure as hell doesn't mean that I am going back to you. Hinata's eyes were tearing up. Let me guess, this was a pitiful attempt from your father to add me to the almighty Hyuga clan. At their eyes widening he knew he was right. Well, I have news for you, we won't be together again. The only way for me to be part of your clan would be with some other Hyuga girl, because it sure as hell won't be you. As if I would marry you, just to have UFC king the mutt when my back is turned. This seemed to be the breaking point for Hinata. She started sobbing uncontrollably while Kiba held her. The dog boy glared at him with pure hate. What's with the look? It's not like I haven't tell her already. Besides, you were wishing that I said that. Turning, he started walking in direction to his house. While evading the fangirls that seemed to come out of nowhere after being known that he was Yondaimi's son, he was thinking of Genjutsu. It was Kyubi who actually told him about it. The demon lord seemed to respect the Nadaime the most from past Hokages. Naruto had to admit himself that he was kind of looking up to the man. Nadaime was the best Suiden jutsu user and a genjutsu master. Adding to that Kenjutsu's skills with a legendary sword and his ability in strategy, it truly made him an amazing opponent. He for another part had earth and fire affinity, so he decided to use Yuden thanks to Kyubi. He also has genjutsu, and with the first stages from his Amatsu he could do it while fighting. Adding his chakra and bloodline-based techniques, he supposed that he was a pretty strong fighter. He decided to continue practicing his taijutsu and working his body, train in genjutsu and in those areas he neglected until now, like stealth, strategy and spying. He was a shinobi even if he was retired, and he didn't need to waste chakra for a big flashy technique when a simple kunai would do. He also supposed that he should choose a weapon. He still was not sure about what though. As for a living, he decided to invest part of his money on the scroll market and shinobi medicine, in this case chakra pills and those chakra trees. Scrolls were a necessity in the shinobi world, and he was sure that both inversions would be more than profitable. You just have to look at Tenten. The girl sure liked weapons, and to carry them all, she needed scrolls. Speaking of which, he arrived, and after allowing the girl inside the house and offering her tea, he waited. Well, you see, this is a bit embarrassing to explain, she said, looking nervous. It's okay. Take your time. If I can help you, I'll do it. At this she smiled with a little blush. Well, yesterday I was talking with my team about that technique you used against Neji and how cool it was, so Lee told me to come to see you. She seemed to be embarrassed because she added quickly, I know it's really stupid for me to ask you for this, but since I am a weapon user. You wanted to learn the Shuriken Kage Bunshin, Naruto stated. She just blushed a lot more. Tell you what, she snapped in attention. Lee told me that you had a fire affinity, so I am going to give you a couple of jutsu and the manipulation exercises and the scroll for the Shuriken Kage Bunshin. Just remember that your chakra reserves must get higher. Tenten just looked at him dumbfounded. She just came because of her love for weapons and because Naruto was Lee's friend and Guy Sensei didn't know this technique. She didn't expect him to be like this. Jutsus were very precious things for shinobi and for him, although retired, which she thought it was a shame, to just gave her all this was just amazing. Why? She asked quietly. Naruto gave her a sad smile. We are the same, we're both orphan, and I respect the fact that you worked hard for your skills and didn't become a fangirl. You deserve this and much more. If I were your familiar I would be proud of you, Naruto said softly. Tenten by then was crying silently. Naruto knew that being an orphan was hard, especially him, and to hear someone say that he is proud of you, for someone who had no one, was a big deal. He was brought up from his thoughts when Tenten hugged him with strength and almost crushed him. He held the girl while she cried and he massaged her back. He decided to say something more. You said that I am Lee's friend. But I had been training with both of you for some time and I consider you a friend to Tenten, so please, if you need something just come and ask me. He noted that her hold over him tightened and her cries continued. An hour later a happy Tenten came out of Naruto's house. She was happy since she finally got someone to acknowledge her and be proud of her. Her team was like her family, but none of them ever told her that they were proud of her. Naruto, who although sometimes trained with them, she never considered him more than a good friend or someone she knew. Now he just became a dear person to her. Naruto, who accompanied Tenten to the door, waited until she disappeared from his sight and turned around to greet the person inside his house. He found her drinking a bottle of sake while eating dango. We have a lot to talk about, Gaki, the person said with a smirk that Naruto found incredibly sexy. As much as you wish, Anko-chan replied with an equal smirk.